everyone, it's Bradley. Welcome back to my channel. Portly gentlemen, it is great to have you here today. Research it, mash it, boil it, ferment it, drink it, analyze it, share it. Home brewing is good. Today's video, honestly, is one that's been kind of a long time coming, a long time in the making. I've actually brewed this beer about 4 or 5 months ago by now, but it is still in a keg. I'm about to run out, and it's still good. So it is a recipe and grain kit provided by my friends at More Beer. Thanks to More Beer for always supporting me. I also got the yeast. I'm using Omega's Voss liquid yeast in this brew, so that's all in there. All the grains, all the yeast, all the hops came from More Beer. Actually, lots of stuff comes from More Beer. But thanks to More Beer for helping me out with this video in particular. I also got some oak cubes from More Beer that I kind of used in here. Obviously, you've read the title. It is a rum barrel stout. So I took some oak cubes and some rum. I'm going to show you how I did that a little later towards the end of the video. The nice thing about a Brewing all grain kit is that you have all of the ingredients in a box delivered, and it's just super convenient. One other option is you can either do crushed or uncrushed. Basically, all the specialty malts do come crushed, but that's such a minimal amount it doesn't create issue for me. Me and my system and my particular nature, I crush all of my own grain as much as possible, so I order it uncrushed. You can go either way, but if you're having stuck sparges, stuck mash, stuff like that, or efficiency issues, considering investing in a good mill. There's lots of videos on my channels about mills. I will link them. You can make some decisions about what one's best for you. So talking about mills, the first thing I did was chuck all of the grain into my Blickman mill and mill it up and grind it to my desired grain crush. And that went something like this. First and foremost, great beer always starts with water. I pull my water profile straight out of Brewfather. I found with some recent updates that Brewfather's water science is just really good and hard to beat. I am starting with RO as usual and mix it all in and make sure you get it all in the kettle. Now it's time to mash in. This is one of my favorite parts, except for the dust. Nobody likes dust. It gets everywhere. It makes shiny things less shiny. But really stir the hell out of the mash, taking breaks in between stirring and dumping in grain. Of course, as this is a kit, do not forget the specialty malts that come in it. That's something I often do. I remember get them in this time, but every now and then I forget and put them in about 30 minutes late. So think ahead and plan ahead and get it all in the mash tun so you're ready to go. I've always still am in the habit of doing a 10-minute mash rest. I just set a timer for my mash rest. Once that's off, then I will go ahead and drop in the Brewtools recirculation manifold. This thing is one of my favorite accessories to come out in the last couple of years, that's for sure. I get it in there, push it down to my desired depth. As this is a thinner mash, I will be doing just a minimal sparge, maybe a couple gallons by hand. I think I did about 1.5 gallons. So I have a lot of liquid. Now I'm adjusting my bottom valve for the correct flow. My pump is at 100%. I prefer to run it that hard. I have a lot of piping and stuff on my system, so I need the flow. I throttle it with that valve. And for me, it's always been super dependable to do it in this manner. Okay, so I have clearly found the ISO setting in my camera at this point, and everything is much brighter. Hopefully some of you appreciate that. Here is that just delicious wort. It is just this beautiful dark color. It smells amazing, and it's just been mashing. My paddle is about to be used one last time. About halfway through the mash, I always go through and meticulously stir as best I can. I don't get super close to the bottom. I don't want to scrape it and force stuff through the bottom of my laser cut filter, but you definitely want to make sure that you get everything stirred up. This is going to help with efficiency, that is for sure. It's time to pull a little sample right now. Just kind of want to see where I'm at, check pH, stuff like that. Everything on this one came out perfectly, but this is my favorite way to pull a sample. The pump does need to be off to use this method. Right about then, I decided it was time for mash out. My conversion was complete. I did that for about 10 minutes where things did get much clearer. I got the troll crane or troll lift ready and got that staged. I did recirculate through the malt pipe with it suspended up out of the water for a brief few moments, just to kind of let stuff settle out, try and get a little bit better filtration. My grain crush was a little bit finer, a little more powdery than I anticipated. This did help me filter everything out, and it was definitely cool to film. At this point, it was time for a sparge, and this is me filming with one hand and sparging with a gallon pitcher in the other, so not very accurate, but you get the idea of what I was doing. Then I let it drip, drip, drip down into the kettle as we waited to come up to a boil, and I just collected every last bit I could until I hit my desired kind of volume. And then I swung it off the side and it's dripping into my concrete mix tub there. You can't see off camera. Just like that, we're slamming in the turbinator, being careful I don't splash myself with boiling wort. Again, this is a good one not to forget. Just drop it in nice and easy. Then the steam hat, look at the steam, and it was a kind of a humid, kind of cold day when I was brewing this. The first hop addition going in, and that's it. It gets pretty simple. After this, you just kind of let the condenser do its thing and watch the timers. At this point right here, I'm mixing in that dried malt extract. I added it in early. I really stirred it well, and I dump it in. And now, one thing to keep in mind, when you're adding this into a boil, you could have kind of a second hop break, if you will, and I did indeed. But I had so much head face inside the vessel, it wasn't a concern, but it's something to be mindful of if you're not used to this type of brewing. Again, this stuff was boiling hot, so be really careful. It's like super viscous and sticky, and obviously it has a lot of sugar in it. And you really, I mean, I had a taste, of course. I mean, I'm Bradley, but you get every last little bit out. Yes, yes, into the kettle. Then it was time for a 45-minute hop addition. I slammed that in, pulling the plug into the steam hat, and closed it up. Again, this is the easy part. Then the 15-minute hop addition. This brew day is just flying past. The smell was amazing. All my equipment worked perfectly. I'm really set up with Brewtools to brew super quickly and concisely. And there's kind of a brief little look at the setup, what's going on. It's about time now. I'm not running a timer on my system. I'm using Brewfather on my computer in the brewery behind me on the big screen. Dropped in a Whirlflock tablet. I do love those. And then yeast nutrient. And obviously, you know, I put in a very precise amount of nutrient. This is a stout. I think they need a little bit more. I've only ever brewed stouts a handful of times, so lots of nutrient. Then into the MiniUni, right off the Brewtools system. Pumped it in. There's kind of as we're transferring out, getting stuff in. I do have a towel over this because there's flies and I'm anal. I don't want them getting in my beer or my wort. Dump in that Omega yeast and get the lid all put back on. Every last drop, once again, needs to go in there. Drop in my hydrometer so I get some telemetry. Drop in the Brewtools, this kind of pressure lid, the pressure pack kit for the MiniUni, and the tri-clamp. Get that on there nice and tight. Here's a look at the residual wort that I wasn't able to pump out. There it is, what was left over. It's sad to see that much, but it really isn't that much. All in all, the losses there is less than 1 gallon. And then it was into my RAPT fermentation chamber by Kegland. I absolutely love this chamber. This guy fermented nice and warm. It actually fermented out in about 5 days at this temp. I expected it to go quicker, but nonetheless, it is what it is, and it did its job. All right, so I need to be honest. I actually had an SD card failure. So I did lose lots of footage from this project and exactly my high quality B-roll of the oak and the rum, that mixing of the spirit. I'll drop in some B-roll now, that fresh B-roll of the high quality rum I used. It's one of my favorite bottles. I don't know if the expensive rum makes a difference, but I really think it does. So it's something to consider. Use as good a product as you can within reason. I think in your end result ingredients or everything, ingredients make the beer. And if you're adding rum to something, then your rum does that. So back on what I was saying. So we're gonna right now I have video. It's for my cell phone, for an Instagram kind of reel or project I did. So at least I have that of the process. I basically use my chamber vacuum sealer. It works really, really well for vacuum sealing liquids because it vacuums the entire chamber. And it really, you can watch this, it just bubbles, all of the air comes out of the wood, and it lets that rum, it helps the rum penetrate into the wood. It kind of got a quick, fast age on it. I also let it sit in the vacuum bag for about 3 weeks. When it came out again, this footage is gone. The rum, it smelled amazing before I put it in, but it was definitely, you could taste the tannins came out of the oak, It was no longer this pretty golden. You couldn't see really the grain in the wood through the bag anymore. But I dumped that in the fermenter and I let that condition in there at about 54 degrees for about a month on that oak, and that really did the trick. So now it is time, after we've seen all the fancy vacuum chamber and what oak B-roll I have. I mean, it's a real demoralizing when you lose multiple projects because of an SD card failure. We've since remedied that. I'm using both SD card ports in the camera now, so there's redundancy in everything I do, as long as I don't manually delete it, which sometimes happens. So anyways, let's grab a beer. I'll be right back. So here we are back with a fresh pour of this guy. And obviously, it's super dark. This is an Old Beard clone. And it is just, at this point, fully aged and fully conditioned. It's something. This one is almost 9%. I did add about 5 or 6 ounces of rum. Initially, for the first month or two, it did take about 2 months to become drinkable, even with Voss, Kveik yeast in there. It was pretty boozy and hot. Now, you smell the malt, the grain, little hint of rum. It's not too much, and it just, you can definitely taste the oak. A little bit of that oak tannin in there. And then the rum is just there in the background. I've never had a rum kind of match stout. I've had bourbon barrel stouts, but a rum barrel stout is just a really good combination. Obviously rum has a little bit of sweetness in there, so it kind of, I think it plays nicely with this stout. It didn't finish horribly dry. It doesn't taste super sweet to me, and I'm very sensitive to overly sweet things. I don't like things that are cloyingly sweet myself. So it's right in line, and it just, ooh, it's good. Even in May, when it's 75 degrees out, you could happily put these back. Maybe better on like a chilly night or a chilly evening or something like that. But this is a kit that I would definitely check out. One I would definitely try and brew. It was super simple with that dried malt extract in there. Do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps you get obviously some gravity without having a ton of grain into your kit, because who knows if your vessel can take that. So they do have to make it attainable for everybody. I also think it adds a little bit of sweetness to the final beer. Yeah, there's that too, and this is a really good kit, guys. Super pleased with it. I think I brewed a Moorburg kit I didn't like, but this one is just, with the addition of that rum, you're like a pirate. It's really something special. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I do have a few videos that are actually actively fermenting over here beside us. Some stuff that's gonna come, and that should be pretty fun. These are videos I'll produce pretty rapidly as well. So remember, thank you so much for watching. Home brewing is good. I've been Bradley, and I'll see you real soon. It's got rum and oak, people. Rum and oak. And now I'm gonna just drink this beer. Oh, that works. You know, yes, super surprised. I mean, I might have gone a little heavy on the rum. Didn't know what the oak would do. I guess I could have added some rum later, but I just didn't know. Like, it's the first time I've ever done a rum stout. And, this will sneak right up on you. Like, it'll just come for you. It'll come for you, whether you're man, woman, whatever. It's coming for you, and it's gonna get you.